Welcome to my basement, everybody. I've got a couple of very special guests in here with me. We've got Johnny Millennium from the HappyConsoleGamer. Hello.
Great to be here. Absolutely.
Great to see you. And this is Behrudy from his own channel, Behrudy, and he's also worked out a ton on EP over the last year as well.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you for coming to the basement.
I had to actually grow up my facial hair a little bit, just so you guys would take me seriously for this discussion, because I know I'm a little bit younger.
You're aging up.
A little bit. I'm aging
You're a
up.
big fan. I want to hear what you have to say about all this. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're going to do something cool today. You can probably tell by the box tops that you can see down here. We are talking about Star Wars, specifically about Rogue One, and we know what you're thinking. The Rogue One sort of buzz has died. It's it's all over. No pun intended. And rest in peace to Carrie Fisher. And also to her mom, Debbie Reynolds. We're dedicating the show to them, so that means we're going to try to be as respectful as possible, right, John?
Absolutely.
Yes, but we feel like there's still a ton to kind of explore, because I think, like everybody else out there, over the holidays, people got time to think about this film.
Yeah.
To see it again. I've seen it 3 times now.
I've seen it twice,
and
yeah.
and I felt like it's worth just having kind of a little spoilery conversation about how it really stacks up in the Star Wars pantheon, and how the film kind of exists on its own. And I thought it would be great to have a couple buds in and we chat about it. So thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, it's fun. We've all seen this movie so many times. The hype has died.
Yeah.
And now we're here talking about it. Everybody's already probably seen this movie as well, but it's fun to talk about it now that the hype is over.
Well, you know what's cool about the movie, now that it's come and gone and it was this big experiment, is that it was a successful one. You know, whether you love it or think it's just meh, or even if you hate it, I think it's kind of hard to dismiss it, because it was a risky thing for Disney and Lucasfilm and all the creative types behind it to kind of take. And it worked. It paid off. We had the Death Star plan story, and
I know.
And they actually did a pretty damn Rogue One-esque mission of putting Rogue One together in a way, right?
And decided the future also of kind of like, we have the Han Solo film coming up and all of these other spin-offs, and I think Disney was waiting to see how this movie was going to do to really see, how many more of these sideline stories can we really pull off.
Yeah.
So I was kind of happy to see that this worked out well. I do hope they don't really overly milk the franchise, but
that is definitely going to happen.
They're going to overly blue milk the franchise.
We'll see.
No, but I think what they have done, though, is they have kind of they have justified that we can take Star Wars into different directions. We can make it grittier. We can make it darker. We can make it more amorphous and not with neat, tidy endings where everybody gets away and the sun is going down and everybody's happy. There's some heavy stuff that goes down in this movie.
That's what I want to say. There is spoilers here for anybody who hasn't seen this. There is spoilers. We're just going to go flat out and talk about this movie.
Yeah.
And you've seen it 3 times. What is your thoughts now that you saw it the first time? What was your first time to your third time like?
I like it way more now.
Yeah.
I think I came in at about an 8 the first time that I saw it, which was the review that I shot.
Yeah.
I think I'm definitely closer to, I'm between an 8.5 and a 9 now. I think that it's a much tighter, much stronger movie, but I feel like, and it's such a dense movie, it's so packed, and one of the things that I really appreciated were the tight shots that Gareth Edwards creates in crowds as we're watching Cassian Andor walk through city streets or
on Jeddah,
and we're getting to see all of the sort of the alien life and all of the different sort of
ecosystems going on there. Yeah,
the aliens, but also like the manifestations of Star Wars in every corner, and I absolutely love that.
Absolutely.
I still have some very strong nitpicky feelings about them and stuff that I couldn't talk about in the first review, obviously, because I couldn't spoil anything.
Yeah.
I think that as accomplished as the work is with Grand Moff Tarkin and Princess Leia, it's still so disruptive when you watch it.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yeah, that was the one thing that really took me out of the movie.
Me too.
Was just that CGI, and there was a few shots in the film, and I'm sure you guys remember when you first saw Tarkin. And it was a bit of a silhouette-y shot, maybe from an angle, or you'd see his face reflection off of a mirror.
Yeah.
And I almost wish they kind of kept that a little bit more and kind of, didn't really show us his face, but they were so brave and they were so confident in the
A little too confident, right? Yeah.
That they just did close-ups and like it was great technology. You know, it looked great, but it still took me out of the movie because I think everyone was thinking like, wow, like that looks nice, but we know that's not real.
And they just kept going. And they're like, okay,
yeah.
are they going to cut? And they go back to him, and he's like, huge speeches. I'm like, enough is enough.
Yeah.
And even with Leia at the
You feel
end.
for the filmmakers, right? It's
Yeah.
like, what are you guys doing to yourself? You're screwing it, man.
They sometimes say less is more.
Yeah.
And if you, exactly what you said, if they just showed him looking at, at the glass, you see his reflection, he's talking, delivers a cool bunch of lines, that would have given me shivers, and I would have been, oh, wow, they did that.
Okay,
Cool.
well, here's another side to that argument, though.
Yeah.
I've seen it with family and friends. They didn't know that was CGI.
I know.
And
I've noticed that with people.
So that is also occurring out there.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
people aren't going in with that.
Maybe we're just a bunch of nerds.
Well,
you
we're
know?
that nerd sort of
we
judicious
just-
eye that's
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
pick
we
it
know
apart.
CG.
And that was the thing about seeing it the first time as well. And that's what I really realized yesterday when I saw it for the third time is that I wasn't going in with my eye to tear it apart and to
Yeah.
sort of compare it to Star Wars that I know and dreamt of. I was just going in to experience the story. And I think most people, that's why it's gotten such a rave reception. A lot of people, this has become one of their favorite Star Wars, if not the favorite Star Wars movie for a lot of people, because I think they've approached it in a healthier, just go in and just to see what kind of story washes over
More
me.
mature, I think, and I
Yeah.
think this was the one movie, the first Star Wars movie I think I've watched where I've realized that they noticed that their audience and their fan base has grown.
Yeah.
And they've kind of matured and, they're ready for a darker story.
A different story, at least a different story.
It's almost like how DC kind of understands that, hey, everyone who loves DC now, is in their 40s and 50s. We're going to make this a mature thing, and they do awesome doing that.
Yeah, but also a dark film is not just a good film, though. Everybody's like, it's dark and it's greedy, it's a war film.
That's absolutely right.
And that's great, and that's something that we should talk about is the characters. A lot of people have said the characters are very flat, there's not a lot to them, there's not a lot to the characters.
Yeah.
Like in The Force Awakens, there's a lot of humor, there's a lot of energy. We were talking about that when we were watching The Force Awakens about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But this movie doesn't seem to have anything.
Nerds!
Yeah.
I just came from watching Force Awakens and talking about Rogue One.
Yeah, we're doing all night, man, all night. But The Force Awakens has a certain energy to it, and it's not a perfect movie in my mind. I really like The Force Awakens. But this movie is just very serious all the way through. K2SO is the only one that delivers humorous lines.
Yeah, but
But they always deliver. They always deliver.
They're good, but I feel like that was a character itching to be as. For me, he doesn't. He's not as big as BB-8 or R2D2 or C-3PO.
He's just
great.
different. He's just different.
He is different,
Yeah.
but I feel like he's. There's some really awesome moments, like when he punches the guard and when he
Bonk.
takes out the
Yeah,
guys and
yeah.
he says, you have to climb, and then he slams down, and like his end is really fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And I like the heaviness there, but I wanted a little more lift off of the character, and I felt like that trope of you want me to tell you what the odds are and how dangerous this is. They went to that too many times, and I felt like the script there, especially because we didn't have an actor having to say those lines, they could have redone a whole bunch of different ways to have a scene in there that would have been more electric.
Yeah.
I wasn't. There were our comic relief moments that weren't really comedy. They didn't really go.
I saw it the other night. Everybody was laughing at every line he delivered.
Yeah?
But yeah, Jin Arsehole and Cassian Andor.
Yeah.
And we'll get into Cassian Andor. This is what we're talking about. He's like, keep it civil. I'm like, once you hear the name Jin Arsehole, you never hear it the same again.
It's Urso.
It's Urso.
Thank you, Vic.
But there's like between their characters, there's not a lot going on. It's very flat.
Well,
there's a lot of conversations and
The third time.
yeah.
Nerd time.
Yeah.
No, the third time you notice the glances that they give. You
Sure.
notice that they're. If it's not a love that manifests and sort of is allowed to go anywhere, but that there is so much deep adoration and respect for each other and admiration for each other.
Yeah.
And you see that building. There's a scene in the elevator where they're going up to attempt their attack.
Yeah.
Where they're just looking at each other, and they know. I mean, they're
a one-way
chances.
ticket.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
kind of know it, and it's really amazing.
So
And then
that's why. That's my big question. Is that's why you think it's better the third time you watched it?
Yes.
It's just you think you get to digest
The
characters
subtleties.
more.
Yeah.
You get to notice. You kind of know their fate already.
Yeah.
I guess so. You see those little subtleties.
well, and I brought the action figures out. These are the Disney Store Elite series figures, the metal ones. They're on sale, right? So I bought up a bunch more of them. They're really cool. They're made out of metal.
Yeah.
They're die cast. I didn't take them out of the package because they're so each one takes half an hour to take out of the package. They're so brutally wrapped up in there. But I brought them to show everybody. They're cool. They've done a good job with these things. I think K2SO is probably
He's great in any formation. Yeah, like the big ones or anything.
He's
like
amazing.
That. Yeah.
But I also brought them because they have all of their names, and I think that's been one of my tough kind of things with Rogue One.
Remembering all the names.
Yeah, and they didn't really celebrate the characters in enough light and to slow down enough to let us really get to know.
Was that
each one of
because
these
there was
characters.
too many characters? They were trying to do too much in a short period of
Because
time.
they know they knew their fate. They didn't want people to get too attached to these characters or something. They didn't want to really express them too much or reveal them.
Well,
too
Yeah.
much. I do feel like they went a little bit overboard in my opinion with it. Like, what's his name? Kaze or Kaze? This guy.
Base?
Oh, Base. Sorry.
Yeah.
See, you get it.
I can't remember their names.
That's why I brought these out.
Yeah.
This guy is Chirrut Imwe. They are wills of the
They
Force.
looked after the stones. What's
Yeah,
that?
spirits. There's something of the wills.
Yeah,
Spirits
yeah.
of the wills or something like that, and these guys look after the
What can you
Kyber
remember?
crystals.
Kyber crystals.
That's
yes.
right. And then this is Bodhi Rook, and he is the Imperial
Pilot.
that
Gets raped
Gerson-
by an alien.
Not Gerson, that Galen Erso, yeah, gets raped by some weird.
I know he
squishy,
does.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Galen Erso sends him to send the message to Jyn Erso, his daughter, and I loved seeing that sequence in the
Yeah,
third
that's
time.
very cool.
Yeah, that was that holographic image
Yeah, it's-
with Jyn Erso just completely devastated.
Yeah.
So that third time, you're like, oh my god, I'm feeling this, man.
Yeah, it's good acting on that point, for sure.
You really
Any
know.
father and daughter relationship
Yeah.
will just
Yeah, oh yeah, it got me.
Exactly.
Watching Arrival with Vic was hard.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah,
That's
big
fun.
time. And then I got more of Captain Cassian Andor's kind of motivation the third time as
Can
well.
we talk about your early review on Cassian Andor?
Yeah,
for a sec?
how skinny he is.
Well, no. Now this is interesting.
Yeah.
You said that you're like he was such a small guy. He almost didn't fit into his clothing.
Yeah.
What did you want, Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No, but
I'm here to save you, Jin asshole.
I've never,
like, what's going
I've
on?
never thought that in a Star Wars movie before. You
But
know?
wasn't it kind of cool? There was a meek hero, like a guy who was smaller in stature,
I just
but
didn't-
you know was a rebel and was doing all this
I guess
shady
so.
stuff.
And he is kind of ratty, right? Like
Yeah.
he does that is part of his character.
kills that guy right in the beginning.
And he was going to go and snipe Galen too. You know, yeah. I mean,
Maybe he's a guy who relies on his blaster a little bit more than his wits.
and he's hungry.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part,
Yeah.
maybe that's part of the characterization of this character as well.
Yeah.
Maybe like that's part of what defines him.
yeah,
is that
like
he's-
would you have wanted him as Cassian Andor? We got our was a base here.
Yeah, Base Malbus.
Well, let me ask you guys this though. We're talking
Yeah.
about the characters, and this is a bit of a dilemma going on between some people who still enjoyed the movie,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they felt like they went a little bit overboard with just killing everyone.
But that was cool.
It was cool.
I like
but, like,
that.
you know, it'd be cool if like maybe one or two of them, you know, survive.
But then they would be in the sequel movies,
yeah,
you know.
but then
And
they don't necessarily need to be in the sequels. You know, they don't need to fight for the rebels or
Well,
anything.
you
in
can
the
go in the
future.
background
How
or
did
something.
you guys feel about that? Were you guys fans of just
Loved it.
clean slate?
because
No, I did too. Yeah, I loved it.
I for me personally, because there wasn't a lot of great character development, it was very subtle.
Yeah.
That I thought when they sacrificed themselves at the end, that showed a lot more of all of their characters,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's why I did like the characters. A lot of people said, "Oh, this is weak," you know, with the character development and all that, and it is to a certain extent. But that final thing, seeing that big cloud go and they sacrifice themselves, I'm like. Whoa, the amount of work all these people did to get those Death Star plans.
Well, and
is
not just
unbelievable.
them, and they show it too. You know, as you kind of take the time to see this again, I think is really amazing. Is that they show all of the effort that the entire
It's insane.
Rebel Alliance does to get those plans into Princess Leia's
Unbelievable.
hands.
Yeah.
Right? Like people are dying left, right, and center all the way along. Not just from the attack mission on Scarif, but from the time they upload everything to the ship.
I know.
Like it's just passing, and people are dying and sliced and.
At the end, that guy keeps passing it to the next guy. Vader's slicing them all up.
And we know that just continues on.
I know.
That hunt into episode 4.
And
they
then
just start
Leia puts it
devastating.
into R2, and R2
Yep.
goes to the planet. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So
But it's cool.
I think it's amazing that
Yeah.
they all die, and I think it's really cool. But what this opens up is this this possibility of Easter eggs, CGI superimposed into future 4K editions of episode 4 through
Oh, no.
9.
No,
The meddling has started to enter the minds of the digital maestros that have the keys to all
Yeah,
of this.
Baze didn't die. He shows up in the back.
Well,
He's just
I
in the
felt like-
background.
I felt like his death was a little bit like that didn't need to happen. It was really cool, and it was his best friend just passed away, and
But it was kind of a throwaway death.
There was a lot of
throwaway.
throwaway grenade deaths.
Yeah.
Grenade, boom.
I liked
Yeah.
Bodhi's death, where he's in the ship. He knows that he has just done the thing. He's communicated to the admiral. The admiral's taking out the shield.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. He knows his work is done. He rests. Grenade. Boom.
I know his
Yeah.
great moments
Yeah.
ends in that
So
for sure.
How do you two think, watching Star Wars movies all your life and watching them in theaters growing up, how do you feel that this is going to place in, like, if let's say a kid right now, your daughter was going to watch all the Star Wars films and she was going to watch them in chronological order, would you tell them to watch Rogue One before watching episode 4?
I'll give you an example. My sister phoned me up, and her son is 8 years old.
Yeah.
And she said, "Should I take him to see Rogue One?" And I was like, "Well, it's not bloody. It's nothing bad." But I'm like,
It's intense.
It's a little bit intense. I said to her, "Everybody dies at the end," and she's like, "Oh." And that was weird for a mom hearing about Star Wars. That doesn't happen usually in Star Wars. Maybe one character dies.
It is
it's
wars, though.
It's a war, yeah. But I thought to myself, when we were younger, I saw Blade Runner in '82. That's a brutal film, and I came out semi-okay. Semi-okay. But I think I was watching it for the second time, and I was thinking about my nephew, and I thought, is this too complicated for him to understand? It's like planet to planet. Who are these characters? What is the rebellion? He doesn't know.
And you saw it and he loved it, right?
I don't know if he's seen it yet, and that's the thing.
Let's face it, the young generation is going to watch 1, 2, 3. Then they're going to watch 4, 5, 6.
No.
I don't know,
That young
man.
generation is not young anymore.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the new generation coming up now.
That's not how I'm setting the movie up.
But that's you. That's you.
Star Wars fans will still tell you to watch it and then maybe watch the prequels.
I don't think I don't know about those prequels. I think the more that we sort of distance ourselves from them, the more that they can just be a
cool backstory that never happened. Is that what you're saying?
just legend.
Legend.
Just a legend.
so funny.
Just
A legend,
some
a
stuff
myth.
that the characters discuss.
If we were going to throw them the prequels out of the equation, would you tell them to watch Rogue One first and then watch 4?
Yeah.
Now I would.
So wait a second.
That's
Would
what I
you
wanna know.
sit your daughter down and say, "You're watching Rogue One before Episode 4"?
Yep.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
See, this is what I wanted to know. This is why I asked.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so I guess that puts Star Wars off until she's about 8. So maybe we start with.
Starting her off with Rogue One is intense, man.
We'll start
Don't
her
you
off.
want to introduce your daughter to this character right here? This beautiful,
The hero?
fascinating character.
Hell
Lisa, I
no.
love you.
I want
Lisa,
her
love
to
you all
enjoy
night.
Star Wars. I want her to get into it, I guess some of the early stuff
Buy me a plushie.
is so.
I'm starting to sound like Mario now. What's going on?
It's so colorful. Maybe she will dig it. You know what? I probably will. I mean, of course, I'm going to start with this. I'm going to start with the Lego animated Star Wars stuff and the Clone Wars show and
cool,
and the Star Wars Rebels shows. I think, and Rebels leads right into Rogue One.
Oh, they're tying it all up.
Yeah.
I know.
I saw episode 1 when I was like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
What? Wait, like Episode 1? What-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like episode 1.
The
That's
Phantom
my very
Menace.
first movie I saw in theaters.
Wow.
And I liked it.
you were a young kid,
It was
yeah.
a magical experience. Obviously, like Jar Jar is super annoying, but
He's asleep with you every night.
Arguably,
Birdie.
episode 1 has the best fight scene too with Darth Maul.
It's pretty cool.
It's fun. It's fun.
Scott and I reviewed all 6 of them a couple of years ago, and
Yeah.
I didn't hate episode 1 as much as I feared I would. It was,
No, Episode 2 is the
Episode 2 is
atrocity.
the worst.
Yeah,
it was the
episode
worst.
2 is
Episode 2 is the
unwatchable, and I actually liked episode 3. I think episode 3's got some really cool stuff in it, but
That lightsaber scene is over the top. But like
all of it
Oh
is.
yeah, but
yes.
it got too CGI. I felt like the first one was still shot in film, and
Yeah,
it was-
I like there's the realism of
Yeah, there was a bit of a
lightsaber
realism.
scene.
We can talk about this all day.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah. But yeah, in terms of Rogue One, where it sets in the Star Wars sort of story and how it fits and compares to everything, I feel like it's what's amazing about it is that it is a complete standalone experience.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
don't really need to know anything else.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, you are led right into Episode 4, which is amazing. But because of these characters in the story that we see unfold with this storyline, we see the Urso family story, basically. And it really was powerful for me to just sit in a theater and soak up the script and the story without any sort of extra noise. And to watch Jyn Urso as a little girl run from her mom getting killed to the end dealing with the man that killed his mother, her mother, and say, "You're never going to win." And that was really powerful.
And she'll sacrifice herself to do that.
That's a fantastic point you made. That really, I never thought of it that way, actually, because it really sets up the Star Wars name that, hey, this is a war, there's kids involved, there's this stuff. So it actually is a very, very great starting movie for anyone.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's just a great movie, and it fits in the Star Wars world wonderfully.
Perfectly.
And just like Abrams and his crew did the impossible with The Force Awakens, these guys also had an equally impossible thing to do, and they pulled it off.
I think they pulled it off. I know.
So like.
If this was a saga film, I'd be disappointed. But because it's just I hate saying this term side story, but it is a bit of a side story to the saga films.
Yeah,
I think it's perfect.
I felt like it cleans up also some plot holes in
definitely.
A New Hope, right? Like it tells you why the Death Star is so
at such a weakness.
And why the stormtroopers have trouble hitting things. Actually, it's because of the Force. People that have Force flowing through them have the ability to bend the laser blast around them. As we see Chern Imwe is able to walk right through. I'm one with the Force. The Force is
That's the best. I love it. I love it that he's not a Force user, but he believes in it so much that it is around him.
Well, I feel like if he had a mentor who knew the Force, he probably could have been a Jedi. He could have been like a blind Jedi of some sort. You just needed someone that
he had blind faith.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And was the Force really there, or was it not? That's debatably awesome. That's a cool little thing that I'd never want answered.
Well, and the other thing that this movie really delivers on, apart from some great sort of back selling of story that sort of makes sense into Episode 4 and then continues on, is the disparity and the variety of places that we go to, and the visual effects that are applied to all of those places. Like the space battles are incredible. Pulling out the hammerhead to knock out a
the Hammerhead Corvette, it's called.
Just to take out a Star Destroyer. And then just, it was
so much fun.
Such an incredible
fun.
thing. And the battle over Scarif, where we've got palm trees and
beautiful, it's
fantastic.
The cargo carriers,
climbing through all the trees and everything like that. The
stormtrooper new environment for the movie.
Incredible, and the destruction of Jeddah. It was like
it was amazing
and powerful, man.
Now you saw it 3 times.
Yeah.
I think your initial review was an 8.5.
I think I gave it an 8.
An 8. What would you give it now?
I'm hovering so close to a 9, but that's kind of where I would put Force Awakens now after I've seen that a bunch more times.
So
and I think
8.5.
I think 8.5, and I think Force Awakens is still a better movie for me, and I totally appreciate that other people would dig this one over that one. For a number of reasons, but I love this movie. I think it's awesome. Okay, so it's time now, I think, for us to get serious about
Star Wars.
Where we think Rogue One fits in our list of Star Wars movies, and you guys know what I would give the movies, about an 8.5. So let's start with you, Bear. What would you give the movie, and what would your list be now?
Just Rogue One. We're gonna say I said I'm a tier above you a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Star Wars movies have a sense of nostalgia, so I'm gonna start with a 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's a 9. I mean, I know movie scales. I feel like even you guys are like we review movies a lot harsher than film. We review films a lot harsher than games.
Yeah.
In a sense, I really do feel that.
Depending on the nostalgia factor, what it is.
Exactly. So I would put Rogue One at a 9. Like I really did.
Wow.
That.
Yeah. It's fun, right? Yeah.
8.5, 9 scale. But we're talking about the whole list right here, and John's been giving me looks.
I'm curious to know what it is. That's all.
So we're gonna do Empire Strikes Back.
Perfect.
Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
And New Hope.
Okay.
Hey, stop looking at me, guys. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do Force Awakens, number 4.
Okay.
And then I'll put Rogue One as number 5.
Okay.
And then we're doing the prequels as well.
Sure, do it.
You're gonna think I'm crazy. I'm gonna put episode 1 actually.
Yeah, makes
next.
sense.
Yeah.
Episode 1.
Yeah.
And episode 3. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
episode.
And then
2
the episode,
as the worst film.
the one we wish never got made.
Yeah.
Okay. John, what do you say?
Rogue One, I give it an 8 to an 8.5. I'm still
Okay.
maybe over many viewings over the years. I'll change that.
Yep.
But okay, in order, let's go. This is easy for me. Attack of the Clones, number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Revenge of the Sith, number 2. No, I'm just kidding. That would be absolutely.
They just go in order of episodes.
I just love the love story. No, I'm kidding. It would actually have to be Empire, Episode 4, Return of the Jedi, Force Awakens, Rogue One, Episode 1, Episode 3, Episode 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just similar to mine. Why were you
Yeah.
giving me all those looks?
I wasn't giving you any look.
I was getting all
You're
nervous.
getting all
I'm
paranoid.
fascinated by the youngins
It'd be
thing.
so awesome if 2 stormtroopers to remove you from the scene right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so in my order, I'd start with Empire. I'd go to Star Wars. I liked Force Awakens more than Return of the Jedi.
Why, you don't like Ewoks, eh?
No,
Against them.
I saw Jedi 3 times in the theater on the first day.
Okay, that's maybe why. It's too much Ewok
Well,
for one day.
I'm the biggest Star Wars nerd I know, right? So apart from you two guys, but I was so psyched for that thing, and then I just got to watch Jedi so much that I realized that it was just too much sort of self-celebration. And a part of it was the end of the trilogy, but there were all these shots of everybody together as a team, all
I
huddled up.
love that.
It was okay, but
I love it when they break the fourth wall at the end of that movie and they're all standing there and they kind of look at the camera. It was, as a kid, it was like saying goodbye to old friends.
I was a little older, and so I was.
What does it matter?
But
Not
I
that
could
much older.
I could see through it though. It just felt, especially after the grittiness and the rawness and the real emotional punch of Empire. And there are some emotional hits in Jedi for sure.
Yeah.
Some powerful things. It's good. It's a good movie. It's still a really good and a great Star Wars movie. But I think Force Awakens really, I don't know. I know people are going to say I'm crazy, but I think that movie delivered in lots of.
It was a great film.
It was
absolutely.
incredible.
I don't think you're wrong at all, but yeah, the same thing with Episode 1. Some people just totally despise and don't think that movie exists because of Jar Jar.
I'm nostalgic.
I didn't feel the Ewoks were that bad. I don't know personally. Maybe because
Did you hate the Ewoks?
I didn't hate them.
Do you secretly hate them?
No, I didn't hate them, but I felt that same push to try to cash in on Q a little bit. I don't know. I would have preferred Wookiees. They had one to show us. Why don't we get to know that sort of cultural? Anyways, I don't want to critique
we can
Jedi.
keep on rocking and rolling on that
okay,
one.
so I would say Force Awakens, and I'd say Jedi, and then I would say Rogue One, and then I would say 3, and I would say 1, and then I would say 2. Forget 2.
And
So.
3 didn't have so much CGI and just because it's so hard watching it now. I probably would rate it a little bit higher than 1. That really took me out of the movie so much.
And it's so dating. It's dating so quickly.
That's the thing about CGI. It's dated so fast.
Yeah, like Tarkin in 10 years when you see him in Rogue
Exactly.
One.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what was going through my head. I was wondering if they're gonna go crazy in George Lucas with this. When that
They have
technology
to.
gets cheaper, they're gonna keep upgrading it with the Blu-ray.
They
releases.
have to. They have to. By the time this thing hits home video, which will be in a few months, they've got to improve that. I mean, it's a software upgrade. You know, it's like honestly, it's like getting.
They'll put Jar Jar Binks walking in the background behind them.
Tarkin shoots first.
Yeah.
Do some crazy
Oh
stuff.
my God. That's true.
that was a lot of fun, you guys. That was good. Thank you to our little friends here from Rogue One.
Jin arsehole.
Thank you for watching.
Tried to stop John.
As soon as you said that at the beginning, you behave yourself. I'm like, I will not now.
Definitely go see Rogue One if you haven't. Sorry if we spoiled the shit out of it for you. But we'll be back with more Vic's Basement soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for checking out that video on our EPN channel. It's just one small part of the things that we make around here. So if you liked it, don't forget to check out some of our other vids and hit that subscribe button.